About a month ago, I posted this video on my channel. Along with this picture on Reddit, and I received an overwhelming amount of positive comments and words of encouragement. So first of all, thank you so much to everyone who watched my video and gave me feedbacks. The number one question that I have been getting is, what is your stretching routine? So this video is dedicated to that question. My goal for this video is to make it very simple and the least overwhelming possible so that you can feel confident and motivated to get started in your stretching journey. If there is any message that I want you to take away from this video, is that it doesn't take a naturally flexible person to achieve this. I was as inflexible as it can get, so if you're able to follow my advice and stay consistent, you will make significant progress as well. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the top 8 stretching exercises that I have been doing that help me go from this to this. The first 3 exercises will be targeted at our hamstrings. The first exercise is a seated hamstring stretch. To do this, you start by sitting with both legs extended. To stretch the right hamstring, you're basically going to bend your left leg and bend forward at your waist and making sure to keep the back straight. And simply repeat the same thing on the other side to stretch the left hamstring. It doesn't really matter how long you hold that pose for, but the bottom line is, the longer you hold it, the more effective your stretch is gonna be. Of course, we all need to respect our own limits. Nothing in this routine is supposed to cause you severe pain. So if it does, take a step back and be more gentle to yourself. Once I've loosened up each leg individually, I would do the seated hamstring stretch with both legs extended. Keep both legs straight and bend forward at your waist, of course trying to keep your back as straight as possible, and you can use an elastic band to help you pull those feet closer to you if needed. Next, we have the standing hamstring stretch. Start with your feet close together and bend at your waist. Keep your lower back straight and hold that position for as long as you feel like. And the reason we want to keep the lower back straight is so that we can isolate those hamstring muscles. It's really easy and natural to round our back to compensate. That's why if it's your first time doing it, I recommend you stand in front of a mirror or some sort of reflective surface so that you can make sure that your back is not too rounded. I'll be giving out advice throughout this video on how I managed to stay motivated and consistent in my stretching. My first advice is, be lenient and tolerant towards yourself. You have to do everything that you can to make your stretching experience as enjoyable as possible so that you can actually look forward to stretching every single day. I achieved that by keeping my routine very lenient. I give myself the freedom of doing whatever stretches for any amount of time that I feel like on that specific day. I also set my bar low, so as long as I stretch today, it's a win for me. And by doing that, I feel motivated and confident to keep going because there's nothing stressful about this experience. And by doing that, I truly enjoy stretching and it doesn't feel like a chore. Okay, enough talking for now. On to exercise number 3, which are 2 dynamic variations to the standing hamstring stretch. The first one is squatting and hamstring stretch. You're going to start from the same standing position and you're going to find where you can most comfortably reach with your hands. You can try putting your hands under your feet if you are flexible enough. If not, you can try to grab behind your ankles or your knees. Keep your hands there and then bend your knee to go into a squatting position. Then extend your knees to come back into the stretch. And we will just repeat that a couple of times until you feel a good stretch in your hamstrings. And on your last one, try to hold that position for a little longer. I like to aim for about 5 to 10 seconds. The second variation is a loaded hamstring stretch. In this exercise, we'll be using some weights. You will need to stand on an elevated surface, and all you have to do is bend forward with the weight. In this exercise, we can round our back. Again, to go with the idea of being very liberal with my routine, rather than having a set number of times that I do these exercises, I just go with the flow and do them for as long as I enjoy. Moving on to the next muscle group, we're going to start exercise number 4 with a hip flexor stretch. Start with a simple lunge position, and then we're going to bring the leg that is already on the floor more backwards so that we really feel a pull in our hip flexors. To bring the difficulty level up a notch, we can flex our foot like so and lift our knees above the ground and start pulsing up and down. And then repeat the same thing on the other side. While you guys continue this exercise, I want to give you guys my advice number 2, just do it. I know that it sounds cliche, but I just want to emphasize that when it comes to developing a new skill, starting it is the hardest part, and once you've gotten started, keeping it consistent is the next hurdle. And I really mean it. If becoming more flexible is something that you really want, you just have to do it. Stop overthinking about it, stop theorizing, researching, and talking about it. Just do it. In fact, if you haven't been following along in this video, just pause this video, find an area where you can do stretches, and start following along. Your stretching journey can start right here, right now. The next exercise is the Lizard Lunge. This one is a really great hip opener, but it also targets our glutes, hip flexors, hamstrings, and shoulders. We're going to start in the same posture as the hip flexor stretch. Then we're going to put both of our hands inside of our front foot. Inhale as you try to bring your elbows to the floor with your forearms flat on your mat. As you can see, this is a pretty difficult stretch for me as I'm not able to put my arms on my mat yet. But it doesn't matter, I just have to keep practicing. I know that I'm better at it now than when I first started 6 months ago. And I know for a fact that if I keep doing this, I will be able to achieve that posture one day. This is the perfect example of how you don't have to be naturally flexible. You can see how I'm still really bad at doing this particular stretch, and that's okay. And with time, you see how becoming better at stretching, it's all about embracing your weakness and keep showing up. I'm gonna repeat myself, but just keep doing it. Once you've done one side, simply repeat the same thing on the other side. Next, we have the half split, which is mostly targeted to our hamstrings and calves. We're going to start in the same low lunge position, exactly like in the 2 previous exercises. From there, we're going to put our hands down and shift our weight backwards so our front leg straightens. Make sure to keep our back straight. And from here, you have the option to either keep that posture or rock back and forth, kind of switching between the half split and the hip flexor stretch, so that you allow your hip to go through a wider range of motion. Repeat the same thing on the other side. Next, we have the Pigeon Pose, another pretty difficult exercise for myself. Again, we're going to start in a low lunge position, and instead of having your front foot on the mat, we're going to try to bring our knee to the floor. Try to keep your shin as perpendicular as you can to your body. If that's too much, you can always point your foot backwards. Here is what it looks like from the side. There are a few variations when it comes to how to hold the pigeon pose. You can either lower your upper body onto the floor, like so, or you can prop yourself up and give your spine a stretch. You can also attempt this if you dare, but that is too difficult for me to hold. The last couple of exercises can get difficult. But what I really like about them is that they're so variable. You can try out different things and really adapt each exercise to your own range of motion. And this is directly tied into the third advice that I'm going to give you. Try different things. When I first began stretching, the kind of exercises that I did are drastically different from the ones that I do today. And that's because I'm constantly discovering new teachers, new routines, and I'm also fixing my old mistakes and constantly improving myself. So what I would recommend is to try out a bunch of different routines from a wide range of teachers. Right, I learned from so many different people on YouTube, including certified physiotherapists, spiritual teachers, yoga teachers, calisthenics, and also just random people on YouTube. You really have to try out a bunch of things before you really discover what works best for you. And then it just becomes a learning process where you constantly change and adapt your routine. And honestly, it's fun. I'm doing so much talking in this video, I think more than in any of my other videos. So I really hope you find what I'm saying useful and not too rambly. We're finally coming to the end. I'm going to show you my last exercise, the ankle stretch. Stand on the ball of your feet at the edge of a stair or any surface where you can elevate your feet to drop your heels. And then we're gonna work on bending the knee and straightening it. When we bend our knee, we try to point the knee towards the toe, making it a deeper stretch as we bend. Then simply repeat the same thing on the other side. And that's it. These are the main exercises that truly helped me in the last couple of months. There's really no secret to it. You just have to do it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. One way to test whether these exercises work well for you is to do a stretch before and after you do the routine and see if there is an improvement. So as you can see in my case, I couldn't put my palm on the floor beforehand, but after I do these routines for say 20 to 30 minutes, I'm able to touch the floor with my palm. So I know that these exercises really work well for me.